Good afternoon.
Great crowd today. I guess this is a lesson for me. One way to make sure the room is filled, speak before the governor. That's good. Okay, well, thanks for coming here today. How many of you have heard about the Kentucky wired fiber optic network that's being built to span the state? Okay, a good number of you. It's a high capacity, high reliability commercial network that can provide transformational capability to the state. And I want to talk a little bit about what the network is, its capabilities, and what Open Fiber is doing to help bring it to the state. And a disclaimer before I start, I don't work for Kentucky. I'm not part of the Kentucky Communications Network Authority. Open Fiber is a private company, so if I say something stupid about the Kentucky wired network, don't blame it on them, blame it on me. Okay, so the Kentucky wired network is a network with amazing reach. It's in every one of your counties. And that's unusual for a fiber optic network. It's not usual for a fiber optic network to have contiguous connectivity to every single county in the state. And in fact, it's in every one of your county seats as well, generally the most populated centers in your county. And when you look at that, even the largest providers in the state, they may have more fiber than we do in certain areas, but they don't have this kind of a reach. And actually having this kind of a reach, we can provide services to them. We can actually allow them to go outside of their footprint where they might not otherwise have the ability, especially in some of the rural areas. Some of the rural areas of the state, it's not economically a great investment to build this kind of a network for commercial entities to do. And now that it's here, we can bring something special to these areas. And I think that's an important benefit. The second part of this network is its capacity. When you build a fiber optic network, you think about one fiber optic. It's like a fishing string. Like if you're a fisher, you have 4 or 6 pound test fishing line. That's what a fiber optic is like. You don't just hang one of these between poles and go 3,000 miles. You hang many of them. And for the most part, this network has 288 fibers on all of the core routes. And we do that so that it's a network that has future-proofness. It's a big investment, and it needs to be around and be relevant and support needs for 30 years. And that's why you build 288 strands. And so that's what it has. And when you think about residential broadband, how many of you have 50 or 100 megabits per second at home in your residential broadband? All right. Does anybody have 1 gigabit per second at home? Oh, that's great. You're lucky. 1 person, 2, 3, a few, very small numbers. Well, we can offer 10 gigabit per second connections on this network. That's 10 times that 1 gigabit per second. We can offer 100 gigabit per second connection on this network. That's 100 times that 1 gigabit you would have at home. And this technology can go to 200 and 400 gigabits per second as well. And not only that, but once you have a fiber optic network, your 100 gigabit per second connection, for example, uses 1 wavelength. And just like you have a rainbow in the sky with different wavelengths for each color, we can support up to 88 wavelengths on a fiber. So on one fiber, we could have 100 of those 100 gig connections. So in other words, it's a lot of capacity. It's a capacity situation that can grow throughout the life of this network for 30 years. And the last part is reliability. Often broadband networks are built with copper technologies, twisted pair or coax, and sometimes they can be affected by rain or water. They can also be affected by electromagnetic interference. That really doesn't happen in a fiber optic network, but that's only part of it. When you look at this network, the network up here, it's built with 6 rings, and each one of those rings is set up so that if there's a cut in the fiber, the system automatically reroutes the other way around the ring. So, and that rerouting happens automatically, and it can happen in less than 50 milliseconds. So it can happen where users don't know that it's happened, which is great. Yeah, it's a nice part of the reliability of this thing. So amazing reach. It's everywhere you are, or it's in your counties. It's not everywhere in your counties, but it goes through your counties. Amazing capacity with a future-proof capacity capability, and of course reliability. When you think about, well, how can this improve Kentucky, life in Kentucky? Well, when you get right down to it, a lot of areas, it's about business and consumers, right? A lot of areas, that have poor broadband or insufficient broadband, they have trouble attracting businesses. If a business is going to relocate or start a new facility somewhere, one of the first questions they ask is, what's the broadband situation? And they want reliability, speed, the things that we've talked about. If they can't get it, they're probably not going to go to that location. And they also want broadband that's good and reliable for their employee base, because business is a 24/7 thing, and people do access their corporate networks, their email. They do that at home, and companies do depend on that. So that's an important part about it. And I also, especially in underserved areas, young adults, they look at these jobs that I just talked about, and they look at this internet access, and if it's not there, it helps them make the wrong decision, the decision to leave where they're from, and we don't want that either. So I'm hoping this can have some benefits in that area as well. Open Fiber Kentucky. When you think about the Kentucky Wired Network, it's a public-private partnership. We're on the private side. We're not owned by the state. We're a private entity. We're planning to invest in all of the equipment to provide the types of services I'm going to talk about today. When I talk about that, we'll come install service. We'll be the person at the other end of the phone when something goes wrong, or you have a question. We'll be a service provider on this network. So again, we're not the state. We're the private half of that. What else? And the who can we serve part, and I'll get to the interesting part about you as well, but anybody that has a high bandwidth need, and there are a lot of those in the state. I've already talked about other service providers that want to go outside of their territory or that have connectivity needs outside of their current service areas. We definitely can serve them. Internet service providers in your local communities, well, in most of your communities, there is no major internet peering point. In fact, the largest, closest internet peering points to here are mostly Cincinnati and Chicago. So getting from your local community back to these internet peering points is something that we can help with as well. And they need that transport. And if they've had fewer options or no options, we can help solve some of that problem. So that's a way we can help them provide better service to customers. Data centers, there are 25 data centers in the state. We'll connect them as well. Businesses in the state want their applications, their databases, their data in those data centers, and we can connect to them for them. Fiber to tower, cell phone providers, they need fiber to those towers. And again, as you all use more 4G and as 5G comes, for 5G to come, we need fiber to these towers, and so we'll be part of that scenario as well. And of course, you all, city and county governments. One interesting thing about this network is it basically was designed to go through every county seat. The state has facilities there, and very often the county has facilities right next door to where the state does. So proximity to this network means that we can likely serve you as well. So if at your jails or your county offices or your health department or your sheriff's offices, if you have fiber needs with capacity and reliability requirements, we can provide that type of service as well. And I know you have a service right now, but maybe it's not good enough. Maybe you want to talk to somebody else as well. So we can do that. One of the things we're not doing, we're not providing service for all of those state government sites. The Kentucky Communications Network Authority, they're doing that. And we're not providing residential service. This is a middle mile network. We're not designed to provide residential service. Or even smallest business service, maybe large businesses that have high bandwidth needs, but not residential. But a lot of counties, a lot of people I've talked to, they know that their counties have areas that are underserved, and they want better connectivity in their county, and they're asking, well, how can you help? And we can help. If your existing service provider is thinking about more investment in your community, or if you want to attract a new service provider to provide service in your community, you need a network like this that can get their traffic, their data traffic, back to those internet peering points. So we have a piece of the puzzle to improve the rural broadband problem in the state. And all of you have a piece of the puzzle too. If you're trying to attract new providers or trying to incent existing providers to offer greater speeds or more service, they have a couple of options. They can build fiber or they can build fixed wireless services. And if they want to provide fixed wireless services, you have land where they can construct a tower. You do have existing towers. You have water towers where they could put antenna equipment. You have multi-story buildings where they could as well. I think you have to be proactive in thinking about how can you attract these people. So I think we have a piece of the puzzle. I think you have a piece of the puzzle. And I think working together, we can come up with solutions. And I know a number of you have talked to me about this already. I think I'm going to get pulled off in a few minutes. That's okay. One more thing. This network is just coming up now. The Kentucky Wired network is just coming up now. The Commonwealth is starting to connect and bring up its locations. We're following behind them. So this is a 2020 opportunity. We aren't going to be in service in 2019, but it's coming in 2020. So everything I'm talking about now is planning for the future and what we're going to start doing next year. So in closing, we have a booth out here, and I'd love to talk to you. We could provide services to your county locations. We could help you solve the puzzle of more broadband in your communities. Look, we're a piece of the puzzle. We don't have all the answers, but come talk to us, and I really love to have a dialogue with you and talk about potential solutions. I have plenty of ideas, and I'm sure you all do too. Okay. So, yep, I'm good.